Hello, everyone. This is Mohammed, Partner Sales Manager at EOSDA, and I'll be your host and one of the speakers for today. During the webinar, I'm sure you'll have some questions, so please write them in the chat, and we'll be more than happy to answer them for you. In our webinar today, we will go through a brief intro about the company and speak about who can partner with us, such as banks, consultants, and IT companies. You will also have the chance to meet two of our current partners, and we will discuss how our partnership network works. Of course, we'll speak about boosting profitability while using sustainable practices. At the end of the webinar, we will speak about launching the first ever agricultural focused satellite at the end of this year. And of course, we will have a Q&A session. The speakers for today, myself, and we have Brijesh, Luděk, and Mike. Guys, please turn on your cameras. Brijesh, please introduce yourself briefly, and thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed. Warm greetings to all. It's a great pleasure to be here and present this webinar today that will emphasize on how satellite-based technologies can deliver sustainability and profit at the same time. I'm the Director of Strategic Partnerships at EOSDA. Together with Mohammed, we will talk about our partnership model and the program that is perfectly designed to provide opportunities to different players in the agribusiness sector so that they can be developed as a reseller of our solutions, build a network of clients, and create new streams of revenue. To share more opinions and values in our webinar, we have invited two guest speakers who are actually our key partners from the Central European region and the New Zealand. I will pass the floor to the two gentlemen for a quick introduction, starting with Luděk Novák and Mike Lee. Over to you, Luděk.
Hello, everybody. I'm really very pleased having the chance to talk to you through EOSDA webinar, and wish you will find this webinar as a successful. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone from New Zealand. The stream are really happy to be able to be part of this EOSDA webinar and hope you enjoy the presentation ahead.
Thank you all. Special thanks to Mike. He's actually joining us from New Zealand. It's around 3 a.m. there. So special thanks to you, Mike. And of course, Luděk and Brijesh, thank you very much for introducing yourselves. Let me move into a little bit and speak about the company and give you just a brief about us. We, as EOSDA, we have three main products: crop monitoring, land viewer, and forest monitoring. We are based, our teams are scattered across Europe and North America, and of course, our headquarters is in California, the US. We have over 200 employees. Our R&D group of scientists, they're led by 5 professors and all 15 PhD holders. We partner with governments, agencies, we partner with commercial companies, scientific organizations, and of course we provide diverse solutions and software in business, science, and education using Earth observing data. Who are our partners? We partner with farmer co-ops, input suppliers, IT companies, insurance companies, banks, consultancies, and many, many more. Now, I want to start with the banking, as this is one of the main points that we will be speaking in this webinar. So why banks need to start using space technology? This is something new. And some banks might not even consider it, might not even have the idea to use it. But the main challenge that banks who service the agriculture industry has is risk assessment, having that accurate risk assessment, because in the end they want to reduce the chance of default risk for the credit risk. Now, with our platform, crop monitoring platforms like ours, bank employees can actually access farms' historical data, assess the field's health and productivity, and see if it actually has any producing power. And then, based on this information, they will offer specific loan conditions per client. So part of the things that we also do is custom yield prediction projects. So this is something that can be done on a field level for banks, or even on a country level. We could do something but with this accuracy, and this will also help with reducing the percentage of defaulters, because you understand the yield that they might get, and you just have that model to predict it. And of course, all of this would result in the end into an accurate credit scoring and faster loan processing. At this moment, based on the information that we have, the average loan processing time, it takes around 13 days for agricultural lands. But with this type of platforms, you might actually reduce it. Maybe it takes 2 to 3 days, depending on your employees. And this would lead in the end into a higher customer satisfaction rate. So I want to give you an example so you can understand how it can be used. The first thing that we could use is tracking the vegetation. One of the features that banks can use is this tracking vegetation status through the platform. It will be used by using multiple vegetation indices. For example, in here, we're choosing the Masavi index, which allows you to determine the presence of vegetation in the early stages of the crop. So for example, let's say one of your clients, they came in and they want to apply for a loan for the purpose of buying fertilizers. You want to make sure that their land actually needs fertilization, and you want to make sure that their land is actually already sowed. While using the Masavi index, you'll be able to understand that. And we all know that fertilizer prices are skyrocketing right now. So this is one of the uses that can be done through the Masavi index. So if we move forward to another feature that I want to discuss is the weather, having access to weather data. Through this feature, you will be able to assess the weather risks by comparing the 5 years average. Now, why is this important? It's important because when you understand what happened in that area, if there's any natural disasters, such as flooding, or even high temperature, or even very low temperature that like resulted to a cold stress into the plants, you'll be able to have this knowledge and understand if this has a potential of happening again in this area. So this will give it a higher risk. You'll understand how to deal with it, give it a specific score, and based on that, you'll be able to make a decision on the loan. Now, let's say you already provided a loan, and you usually, during the loan period, a bank sends scouts or sends people to check on the fields or check on the lands. We do have a scouting feature built into the platform. It's very important to use. So let's say you want to verify one of the information that the farmer provided, or they updated you with some information. You'll be able to check any abnormalities through the analytics, and then send a scout to the field, so they'll be able to understand what's happening or provide you with reporting through our mobile application. So we have our own mobile app that you'll be able to upload the report, take images, and then send it to your head office. This is one of the important features, because in the end, you keep track of the farmers, and even it could be an opportunity for you to do top-ups. Because sometimes you might find issues in the fields, and you can advise your clients to get a top-up loan and even do more fertilization or if it needs more irrigation, etc., depending on the analytics that happen. So this is one of the features that I do believe that banks will use. Now, Brijesh will take it from here. He will be speaking about consultancies. Brijesh, please put on your camera and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mohammed. That was an interesting use case with the banks. Next, we will move on to consultants. So we have a special focus on agro consultants. And we do understand clearly what are the pain points and what are the values that we offer from our crop monitoring solutions. So if you look closely at their business activities, agro consultants act as a resource for farmers on a range of topics. It could be related to agricultural technology, any sort of transformation process, or let's say facing any agricultural policies. As a part of their work, they have to physically inspect the problematic areas on the farmer's field, sometimes take soil samples, or even review fertilizer management records to understand crop growing issues. We understood that a manual approach is costly and time consuming for the consultants. So this may also further result in inaccurate outcome, meaning that even if the consultants are not able to find the root case of any problem from the fields, it can affect the overall success of the projects that they are working on. So understanding the problems faced by the agro consultants, our crop monitoring solution comes with a data-rich functionalities to make consultants' lives easier and add value to their work by winning their customers and farmers' loyalty. So let's look at some of our platform features that I believe are beneficial to the agro consultants. Starting with scouting, we already had a preview of the scouting feature in the previous slides given by Mohammed. But still, I would like to tell you a little bit about it, that consultants can create specific tasks using the scouting feature and pinpoint the exact location on the field or the problematic area of the field. And such notifications about the task could be sent to a scout or a farmer who receives the instructions on the mobile app. All the data that is entered in the mobile app is then updated to the crop monitoring platform. So in the end, this greatly saves the time for the consultants and also reduces their expenses, which may have been recurred for travel expenses or even some sort of advisory time spent on advisory to their clients. The next feature that I would like to talk about is zoning. So zoning is used to create VRA. VRA stands for Variable Rate Application Maps. Most of the consultants who are watching this webinar, they will be familiar with this kind of maps. VRA map is also known as prescription maps. So this particular feature, zoning feature, it helps in identifying zones on each field map with respect to the relative content of nutrients. So if we consider the nutrients which are necessary for plants or crops growth, those are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium mainly. On our platform, we have two types of VRA maps. So one is vegetation maps, which provides nitrogen-based VRA map, which you are now looking at the screen. The output displays the area for each differentiated zone. As you can see, there are within the circular shaped field, there are different zones, different colored zones, green colored zones, red colored zones, and orange colored zones. So each color indicates a particular level of vegetation or the particular level of nitrogen content present in the field or the amount of nitrogen that was converted by the plants through after the fertilization process. So green color zone indicates higher nitrogen content or conversion, higher conversion. Red and orange color zones indicate lower nitrogen content. This feature also allows you to set a recommended amount of fertilizer that should be applied to each zone. As you can see at the bottom right corner, there is a section in which the platform user or the consultants can enter the value of recommended input rate for the fertilizer. So that is the amount of fertilizer that the consultant should apply, should advise us to the farmers or the scout or the field inspectors to further benefit the field in terms of the fertilization or the nutrient content. Another use case use of the zoning feature is through second type of the VRA map called productivity map. It is based on the secondary nutrients, mainly potassium and phosphorus. Similar to the first VRA map, vegetation maps, the output shows the area of each zone with varying productivity level or homogeneity of the field. Homogeneity of the field means that the overall status of the field in terms of the productivity level, meaning that which zone of the field has, let's say, it highly productive. So meaning that that particular zone of the field would result in higher yield and output. So similar to the first VRA map, green color zone indicates higher productivity level, and red and yellow and orange color zones, as you see on this field, and this polygon shaped field map, those indicate a lower productivity level. So therefore, drawing the attention of consultants, like where the farmers should apply more secondary nutrients to increase the overall productivity of the field. These VRA maps can also be downloaded as a shape file, so that it can be further uploaded to the onboard computer of agricultural machinery to perform a process called differential application. So this is truly an innovative feature to reduce expenses and use resources more rationally. Then we have the team management feature. Then we have the team management feature that allows consultants to add their team members to the platform and assign them roles on the basis of or on the level of access to be provided. So using this feature, consultants can delegate the responsibilities within their team and control the access of individual team members for a group of fields, or simply restrict the changes that their team members can make to the field data. And the fourth feature that I would recommend for consultants, which we mostly see that our consultants, our existing partners who work as a consultant, they mostly use, is the field leaderboard. So field leaderboard lists all the fields that a consultant is monitoring at a time. So as you can notice here on the screen, it shows the list of fields sorted according to different categories. So those categories are mentioned at the top. So just for an example, categories such as name of the field, location of the field, coordinates, size of the field, index value for that field, or the current index value, or the change in the index value for that field, and so on. This list can be sorted according to different categories. It helps in prioritizing the field management tasks. For example, if you sort this list according to the descending order of index value, then you will find which field requires more urgent attention, that is for the consultant, on which field they have to give more attention. To add further value, more value to the consultants vertical, I will pass the floor to Luděk Novák. He is the CEO and founder of Agrinova Group. Through the subsidiary Agrinova Consulting, Luděk and his team of partners provide advisory and input recommendations to the clients. Over to you, Luděk. You can switch on the camera and mic.
Well, I'm back again. Once more, hello everybody. The Agrinova Group is composed by a few companies. Regarding the services which has been addressed by Brijesh, it's more service of Agrinova Consulting, which operates across Central European regions. We have a customer in Czech, Poland, Slovakia, and also in Ukraine. As a company and company background, I've been working in international agribusiness for decades, mostly in Central Eastern European countries. And now, when I finished the multinational part of my business career, the Agrinova has been created and focused on innovations, because innovations are vital for development of the contemporary farming. There is so many opportunities and challenges which has to be addressed. And having said that, we uptake into our distribution, and we are partnering with leading agricultural input companies, which brings the innovations, because only innovations will move the agriculture to a new era, new scheme, new opportunities. So we started partnering in 2001. question is maybe why. The reason was quite simple, because it was new introduction of the new completely brand new product with brand new concept, and it was for many of clients hardly any to believe that products based on nitrogen could very significantly reduce the pollution coming from standard granulated urea granules, nitrogen fertilizers, and in fact we need to document the effect. And I said it was in 2021. It was during the COVID period, very difficult to travel. And in fact, we have to follow the fields, what's going on there. So the platform from EOS was one of the options, which has been taken into consideration. And we select, after putting up a few criteria, we select EOS because it was which allow us as mostly agronomists to use the most updated technology to measure and to analyze and take the decision what's going on the field. And it brings enormous value to the customers, because also customers has observer access to the platform, and they can follow their own fields. They understand what's going on, and utilize already now with a scale of computer learning output and to their profit and to their better profitability, and also to reduce the input of the nitrogen in a near-term future. Because as in many EU countries, also in Czech, there is a plan to substantially reduce the input of nitrogen and also phosphorus. And this is the significant change in terms of cropping and nutrition. But we have to do it in a clear way that this change minimize the impact on the yield. And our challenge is what should be and how we should optimize the ongoing nutrition of the plants during the vegetation to maximize the yield and not over nutrient, not put more nutrients into the soil than needed. Just just remind you, majority of you are aware that 46% of the standard granulated fertilizers are simply disappearing by evaporation, by leakage, by binding in the soil. So it's heavy losses at the end. And it was even before the racketing of the input prices, which is with the last few months situation. So it means even higher importance for any grower to understand what actually is doing on the field, why he's putting this and that in the field, and it create more needs to measure also the soil, and in terms of content of the nutrients, leaves in terms of content of nutrients, and the observation brings additional information for qualified decision. What is actually should be applied and when. In addition, what is going on here in the region, the population, farm managers are more or less aging and going to their well-deserved retirement. Especially in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, middle-aged people are missing in the agriculture, and new young people are coming. And for them, this new tool and new information technologies-driven platform will have a great fit and make the farming even more interesting than it is. And one of the companies' wording is that there is agriculture and there is so many opportunities and changes coming in the short-term future, because the existing practice which is more or less 100-year-old, nearly depleted all of the options the nutrition of the crop has had, and helping with a new concept of the product and with the IT, and to make the right decision in the right times is very important. For working in across the countries, we use partnership pricing to support our partners in surrounding countries. And last but not least is training, which was mostly online. Now, after the release of COVID restriction, we have more chance to talk each other and train the people to further use the product. For us, one of the last year goal was to document the impact of the opportunities of using of EOS in linked, and with the new product we are launching in Central Europe, which is the product which belongs to the category of control release nitrogen fertilizer in leaves of the plants. So it was a relatively new concept for many of farmers. They thought, they told me this is, or they told us this is not possible, hardly to believe that you can apply fertilizer, nitrogen fertilizer with a high concentration on the leaves of corn without any damage on the leaves. And also this is not only corn here, there are other crops. So we selected oilseed rape just to check what we can do, how we can reduce the rate of the application of the nitrogen during the vegetation season. In this part of the world, farmers were quite often use so-called UAN. This is some kind of liquid solution of the nitrogen fertilizer, which works mostly through the soil. And for those who are not agronomists, there is a lot of complicated cycles of transition from one form of the nitrogen to other form of the nitrogen, which is available for the plants. But what is interesting that we took the plot of the land, measured, divided the plot of the land into a few parcels, and each of the parcels we apply a different scheme. And in fact, we were designing the scheme to reduce the number of the amount of the nitrogen being put on the soil, and what is the impact on yield, and in case of oilseed rape on oil content. And during the vegetation season, we closely monitor the field, also from the office, using new technology, or through mobile, or from tablet. It depends how you use the platform. In all of the interface, it's very easy and very simple. But what was interesting, that we could follow the development of the crop, and we were curious how variable would be indexes when we significantly reduce the amount of the nitrogen which was input into the field. And you see on the right hand side in the NJ index, which is index which measure actually the intensity of the photosynthesis in the plant, you see quite homogenized field without no big differences between the zones, between the different between the parcels. And last but not least, what is important for every farmer is, of course, profit, and what is the impact on the yield. So by this simple comparison, simple trial, which was integrated into the EOS platform, you have very easy and persuasive documentation that, let's say, you can use this specific product, that is controlled release nitrogen fertilizer, to reduce the amount of the nitrogen being supplied on the field without without the impact on the yield or the quality of the output. And someone could say, oh, this is just one crop, one trial. Yes, it could be in this case, but in reality, we were using the platform for on many other fields in Czech Republic and in Ukraine last year, and we could measure the fields, how do they behave, and we are sure that we can recommend our customers optimum time for the application. We have a very strong tool to consult and take the decision based out on the data and measure what we actually do. So this is what I would say is actually for us as a company, one of the biggest tool. The impact is huge on business growth and on a side from point of view of the farmer. And what is the most important is the satisfaction of the user who used to start using the platform. They are coming more and more frequently back and getting the information and using the information in their day-to-day life. So this is everything for my side. So if you have any question, if not, I will pass to the following speaker.
Thank you, Luděk. We will have a separate Q&A session at the end. So we are at the moment, ourselves and our moderators, they are collecting the good questions for you, for both of you, for you and Mike, and also the questions which are related to the agenda of our webinar.
Okay, thank you, Brijesh.
Thank you. Thank you, Luděk. That was a very fascinating use case. And also thank you for sharing your insights and knowledge on the subject. So let's move on to the next focus vertical, that is IT companies. So IT companies are also an interesting prospect for our partner program. First, let us understand how they contribute to the agriculture industry. So we might have noticed recently, or like lately though, some of the world's biggest technology companies, such as Microsoft, Amazon, and Capgemini have started entering the food and agriculture sector. So some of us might wonder what this means for the farmers and the food production companies. So the answer is IT companies provide a strong integration between the companies that supply products and services to the farmers. For example, fertilizers, pesticides, or even finance lending services. So they control the flow of data to those who have access to the food retailers and the consumers. Therefore, they enable centralization of agro data that can become a long-term value for sustainability. Now, there is a challenge in this. Conventionally, IT companies are known for their software development capabilities, and they should be able to develop a platform depending on the available resources. But sometimes they do lack the expertise to build a digital agriculture platform like how we have the crop monitoring platform. So specifically when they have to develop such a platform from the scratch. So this is where we step in to provide the IT companies with our turnkey solutions. Our crop monitoring solutions allow IT companies to focus on their primary business and not worry about the solution development. So they can rely on our expertise and knowledge on this matter, save development costs and valuable time that can be used on the business development work. And it doesn't stop there. We also provide a wide range of analytics suited to the project requirements and so on. Next up, to give you more insights on how the stream uses a satellite data to solve their customers' problems in New Zealand, I will invite Mike to take over and share his views. Mike is based in New Zealand and he's the CTO of the stream. Over to you, Mike.
Thank you, Brijesh. And thank you everyone for tuning into this webinar. So I'm the CTO for the stream. We're a technology data analytics company with a focus on viewing things occurring in the environment from a cultural lens, as well as a scientific lens. And so we have deployed in the field for some of our customers sensing IoT type sensing devices. One of the challenges we have is that when we deploy technology in the field for farms and for determining what's occurring environmentally, is that we can't go back in time. We were looking at a provider for remote sensing, and so when we started our discussions with EOS, that was late last year, we determined that their platform gave us a turnkey, really fast way to get a product in front of our clients. It also gave us the ability to, as we bring online either a client, and one of our clients might be an agronomist, or it could be the agronomist's client themselves, or just a farmer directly, is that when we put sensors in the field, where do we place them? So by being able to use the EOSDA platform to be able to select a field, select a farm, and to look back historically, as far as the platform will let us go, we can determine where we should best place our field sensors. And so we have a great desire to use the white label platform, so it enables us to essentially have our own brand on EOSDA's fantastic technology. It gives us the capability to better place our field sensors and to get that very high level view of what's happening on our farms. New Zealand, like Europe, late last year, we introduced some quite new high expectations around nitrate and pollution coming off farms. As Luděk spoke about, there's a lot of losses that happen with fertilizing. New Zealand holds very precious the waterways around us. We've got a lot of water running through New Zealand, and one of the things that was occurring is that runoff, sometimes from farms and other industry, was ending up in our streams and affecting our waterways. And so what we find with the EOSDA tool is seeing areas of high nutrient near streams enables our farmers to make decisions about maybe reducing their inputs, or in some cases, again, one of the other tools that we use with the EOSDA platform is enabling to look at additional slope areas of their farm that maybe traditionally are always very low in water, and perhaps that could be a piece of their farm that is retired and put into forestry or other land uses. The fact that EOSDA are very open to working collaboratively with us, where we need enhancements, where we've got a specific need in the New Zealand market, the team at EOSDA are happy to take on board our requirements, and really it's a collaborative partnership. The technology that they provide and the technology that we provide, we enable a way that we can, for some of our clients, we can ground truth that remote sensing. And so when we deploy a sensor in the field, we're only able to get data from that point forward. So if we deploy a sensor in the field using EOSDA, we're able to look back in time and be able to then validate that where we've placed it is right, and the readings that we are correlating to that remote sensing there's a synergy there. So it's been fantastic to be working with the EOSDA team. The technology, what it evolves and what it's going to be able to enable in the future is really, it's a game changer for the industry. And as Luděk said, COVID made it very difficult to get out to farms. New Zealand had a very long lockdown. We're past that now, but to be able to put in place technologies that enable us to get on with doing our business was fantastic. So, yeah, all of our farms have a requirement by the end of this year to report extensively on what's happening on their farms. The nitrate limits, same as for Europe, will probably increase, and our water quality has extremely high profile. we need to control the impact of what we're doing in our other practices from getting into our waterways. And whilst there were other people offering some remote sensing in the New Zealand space, none of them offer the quality portal that enables us to get technology in front of our clients without having to spend a lot of money building our own platforms. And the price point for being able to determine or bring on board a new farm or a new land parcel to be able to give them that facility, EOSDA beats all of the other competitors phenomenally. And growing our clients, that's consultants, food producers, as well as the direct farmers, having them able to work more efficiently is great for all of New Zealand and for the environment around us, which we, as at the stream, we hold our environment as extremely precious. So that's it from me. Thank you, Brijesh.
Thank you, Mike. It was great to hear from you. So what I would jump into is the other part of our webinar. So what I was going to talk about is having true partnership and how our EOSDA partnership network in general works. So what do I mean by true partnership? What we do is we back our partners, resellers, with any material they might need. So let's say they need anything within marketing, if they require any type of trainings, support. We could even join them with demos with their clients if they have a potential client, if it's government or if any type of client they have and they need experts from our team to join them and support them, we will be there with them. So because they become part of our family. And when we do that type of support, for us, it's important to increase their ROI. So this is the ultimate goal, let's say. We do have two types of partnership. We have the reseller model, where you use the out-of-the-box platform as it is, and resell it to your clients, or even just use it with a special discount. And we have the white label model, where you have a full-on branded platform with your brand, with your name, with your logo. This is with the white label. Excuse me. And let me elaborate a little bit about the white label. So instead of building your own platform, which could be time consuming, it might cost a lot of money, you will have this platform fully rebranded with your business. So you will have the chance to choose your logo, have customized features, and even have customizing the theme. What I mean by that is how the platform would look like. This is an example of the light theme option, and here is an example of the dark theme option. This is just as an example to visualize it. After that, let's jump with Brijesh. Brijesh just gonna walk us through the partner journey, and since the first call when we onboard them till the end. Go ahead, Brijesh.
Thank you, Mohammed. So let's look at our partner journey framework. So partner journey framework describes an essential part of our partner program. So by implementing a partner program, we are not only strengthening our partner relationships, but also maintaining a high level of engagement with our partners. Without doubt, a strong partner relationship is built through consistent communication, clear goal setting, and regular interactions to assess partners' needs and progress. Partner program starts with an onboarding session, which is conducted by a dedicated account manager from EOSDA. So from the moment we onboard a partner is enrolled in our partner network, we dedicate an account manager from our side to take care of their sales, marketing, and training requirements. The onboarding process focuses mainly on product activation, demonstration, and understanding of sales support and marketing requirements by the partners. And we also believe that with onboarding, it's a good idea to start with a PR announcement on the partnership. You can notice on our blog website, on our company's EOS.com's blog web page, you will notice some of our PR announcements on our recent partnerships and the existing partnerships that we have so far. On the side, we also provide our partners with marketing materials like presentation templates, mock-up images that can be used on the social media channels of the partner. All this PR and marketing extension helps our partners to win more leads and achieve higher outreach. Throughout the course of the partnership tenure, which is set to be 1 year, according to the partnership agreement that we usually sign with the partners, our partners undergo regular trainings throughout that tenure from the account managers to make them expert in our products and understand how they should promote the product or solution in their market. The support activities are planned in a time frame of 1 year. As I mentioned, that is the general standard term for a partnership agreement. So training, marketing, and support, sales support constitute a continuous process throughout this tenure of 1 year, or as long as the partnership continues, and it is carried throughout this period. So that's about the partnership, a little brief info about our partnership program or a partner journey framework. In the next slides, Mohammed will talk about how to find the right balance between profitability and sustainable growth.
Thank you, Brijesh. Jumping to this, the how to still gain profit while being sustainable. Part of the challenges we face today is the rise of methane emissions and the loss of forests, which actually contributes to global greenhouse gas emissions. Now, by the year 2030, global food demand is expected to increase by 35%. How can we tackle such issues with our tech while remaining profitable? Because in the end, yes, we want to help, but at the same time, we want to remain profitable. How do we do that? As I mentioned before, we do have 3 products, and one of them is forestry monitoring, which enables tracking forest health by measuring forest cover, detecting deforestation and forest fires, and also monitoring plant moisture content and tracking reforestation efforts. Also using precision agriculture solutions, which will increase the yield and reduce harmful impact of chemicals on the environment. So as you know, the climate is changing. So we need to change as well. That's why we added the weather data to our platform where we explored it before. So farmers need to adapt to such conditions and use recent technologies to manage their farms rather than using the traditional ways. So forecasting, understanding weather data will lead to better yield in the short and long term. Through our forecasting feature, you'll be able to access wind, humidity, cloud, precipitation data, and of course, temperature data as well. Based on our recent assessment and our client feedback, the data is more than 90% accurate. Our tech will actually warn you in case there is a heat stress, a cold stress, or water stress in your fields. So all of this data that we discussed will be shown in the platform in the form of an easy-to-read graphs. And on top of that, one of the services that we provide is soil moisture data. Brijesh, I'm going to send this back to you because we have an announcement about our new satellite. He's just going to talk a little bit about releasing our first agricultural focused satellite. Go ahead, Brijesh.
Thank you. So we have almost come to the last part of the webinar, which will be followed by a Q&A session. We deliberately kept the following slides at the end of this presentation because it discloses our most anticipated project and also the most important one in the history of our company. So this project is named as EOSSAT, as you can see on the screen. We have been discussing about this a lot, this project with our current partners. For those who haven't heard about it, we are planning to launch 7 satellites into the low Earth orbit by the year 2024. So one of the key objectives of EOSSAT will be monitoring of farmlands, so which will make us the first company to own a satellite constellation fully oriented towards the agriculture sector. So as you can see in the timeline at the bottom, the project was initiated in 2020 with a system and design review. In 2021, we conducted some tests to make sure that the launch of satellites can be started in 2022. To be precise, in the month of October 2022. By launching our own satellite constellation, we will we are aiming to establish a full satellite data production vertical, starting from direct imagery collection to processing, analysis, and delivery. Due to the manifold benefits that we are expecting from our satellites, we are definitely looking to increase the accessibility and accuracy of our satellite monitored features. So some of the improvements will be higher revisit rate from the satellites, that is higher revisit rate of the satellites over Earth surface, better coverage for all the countries that have small area fields, high resolution, so it increases the possibility to use monitoring features with more varieties of crops. Additionally, we also expect to enhance the quality of data that we are providing to the agriculture industry. So some of the quality data will include efficient input management, diseases and pest prediction, vegetation and water stress monitoring, custom solutions such as yield prediction, crop classification, and more insights on the platform such as recommendation for fertilization and irrigation, crop rotation plan, and a full decision support system. To give you a preview of what a partnership approach would look like with EOSSAT, we have broadly classified 4 categories. So number 1, the kind of partnership that we will develop with EOSSAT, number 1 will be exclusive rights of all satellite images and data on a country level. 2, access to all the images in a specific area. 3, access to analytical data from a specific area for those who would like to. And lastly, for those who would like to co-invest in the project, we can discuss the terms and conditions separately. We have no doubts that this project will give a boost to our efforts on addressing global challenges, as mentioned by Mohammed. With EOSSAT, we finish our general presentation. Now we will move on to some Q&A sessions. Our moderators who have been working behind this webinar have collected some interesting questions for all of us, for all the speakers. And it would take maybe a couple of minutes once we have all the questions in hand, and we will soon start the Q&A session.
Thank you, Brijesh. Luděk, Mike, you can turn on your cameras. This is going to be more of a discussion stage, so we'll need you all here.
Okay.
So we're checking the questions right now. We got a lot of interesting questions. Unfortunately, we can't answer them all because of time, but we promise you all that any questions you ask, if we didn't answer it, then we will reach you by email. And of course, you can always reach us. We have our emails. Our team already sent our support email, sales email. Any questions you might have after the webinar, also you can reach us. Let me check the questions. Okay, so we have one for Luděk. You mentioned that Agrinova Group also operates in Poland, Slovakia, and Ukraine. Can you please elaborate on how you manage your consulting services across these Central European countries?
Thanks for the question. Of course, it's from the beginning it is a challenge because there is a challenge of distance and challenge of the languages. So I have to address those 2 major dimensions. The first step was, some lot of training to my business partners there with support of EOS staff. This is, let's say, it was the first step. And second step, when they become more familiar with, there is an option to create a partner account of Agrinova consulting account, and the guys could work within the given area of the hectares very easily. They can define the fields, they can start using the platform for their activities. So at the end of the day, it's relatively straightforward, and very simple to use. And if there is a question, they either come back to me, or if I am out of my capacity, I would come back to EOS and my friends there. So everything in vertical is working very efficiently, easy, and language. Of course, it was one of the reasons for choosing the EOS, because there was platform in also Eastern European. There was a translation to Eastern European languages, and Mr. Google can help always, and is now very, very efficient. So it's just, we overcome those two barriers, I would say, without major problems. Very easy.
I agree 100%. I actually use Google sometimes, even for English. English is not my first language; it's my second language. But I even use Google Translate for it. Now, I really appreciate your answer, Luděk. Now, jumping to Mike. I actually got a question for Mike. And New Zealand is considered as a fair market. Do you still find any challenges in advocating precision agricultural solutions? And if yes, how do you overcome those challenges?
Interesting question. So New Zealand is a fairly open and fair market. With any market, there are always players who are looking to get advantages in the markets, and so thankfully New Zealand, with the nature of our country, there's less facility for people to be able to get away with that type of practice. And that's one of the things that we see with the EOSDA platform, and what we do at the stream is giving a transparency to what's actually happening in the environment. And so, for example, one of our solutions, one of our industrial clients who would previously been thought of as a polluter is going to share their data on their sites openly with the community around them. And so that's a really innovative new way to do things, and having platforms that enable us to do that really effectively is a game changer, and it helps lend itself to New Zealand being an open and free market.
Thank you, Mike. It sounds very interesting, actually. The New Zealand market itself, it might sound like out of reach, but it's not. Like you're closer than we would expect. So I'm very happy to have you as a partner. Let me jump into different questions. Let me see, Brijesh, I have tons of questions for you.
Well, I found one good question for Luděk.
Yeah.
One of the attendees, they asked this question. So this is for you, Luděk. How often do you check the platform data in order to maximize yield outcome?
It's a good question. Of course, there are the features of artificial automatic notification in case of significant change in the field. So it helps. And also, it's driven by my curiosity, what's going on in the field, which are under observation. So usually, if there is nothing abnormal, I usually go to the leaders platform, and I see the comparison between the plots and blocks in the fields. Usually Monday morning, this is, let's say, something what I do, and see what's going on in the field and communicate it with the customers. Of course, you have to take into consideration of some abnormality in the weather. And let's say if there is forecasted some heat or rain, so we have to be more careful. Of course, across such a huge area is difficult, but on a weekly basis, I found it quite sufficient in terms of speed of development of the crops. And it's really you have to go step by step. I mean, if you feel that there is potential risk, you have to take more time, and you see that the crop is going well, and then you understand from the ground what has been applied and what is how the farm is taking care. You have a different approach. Everything depends a little bit on people. who is leading the farm and managing the farm. Did I answer?
Yes, that very well answers the question. Thank you so much for sharing the wisdom and more bits from your experience. So next up, we have one more question. What coverage of the constellation will you have or do you plan? I mean hectares or global territory. So Mohammed, I think this is a question for us. It must be related to the EOSSAT constellation. So the answer to this question is we are targeting around 90% of the farmlands by 2025, by the year 2025. Okay, so let's look for more questions.
So actually, there's one interesting question that I checked. One of the questions was about how are they charging the customer. So depending on the projects or what are you planning to use, are you becoming a reseller, a partner, a white label, or even just a one-time project with custom projects such as yield prediction or field boundaries detection. So depending which way you're planning, it's either a subscription base or it's a one-time report. That's how our payments. But to provide you with full details about our payment, we will send it directly to you. I'm sure that you left your emails and contact information. We will send you all of our payments. What else do we have?
Okay, we have one more question for Luděk because Luděk gives answers more related to the crop growth and the cropping cycle. So we have a question: how the platform could be used when vegetation season ends? Could it still be useful?
Yeah, I do believe its platform is useful 24/7 because you understand that if you have a land, the job never finished. You have to follow what's going on in the field, and even if you harvest, this is an old crop, but we have a new crop, and for new crop you have to understand what's going on. And you can use it for preparation of the soil. You can always, and as any agronomist, you have to want to understand the level of the rainfall. You want to understand the weather forecast. You want to understand the level of the moisture in the soil. So we have plenty of information from the platform you can use for day-to-day operation. It's just end of the let's say harvest is the end of the previous crop, and in fact it's the start of the new crop. And let's say for the new crop you can start very easily with let's say soil preparation and a variable application rate of some phosphorus, which of course the price is now rocketing. And you can use the variable application map to optimize the application using the data. So we are back at the square number one, and you finish one crop and you are starting the new one. So never-ending story.
Yeah, some of our customers are using it to come in with an alternative crop to do, like as Luděk said, the soil preparation, and in some cases they might start after harvesting to reforest, to repurpose that land for something where they're wanting to protect the waterway, so they're going to plant trees, and again the platform is useful to see that growth rate.
Cool. Thank you for your answers. So let's move on to the next question. I just went through this question and I thought that this will be a question for Mohammed, since you work a lot with the Middle East market. So this is the question: is there data available for farming in Egypt? I am from Cultivate, a new startup launching from Egypt in data analytics in agriculture.
Sure. So Ahmed asked this question. Well, nice to meet you, Ahmed. Yes. Hopefully we'll have you as a client as well. Now, the thing is, we do have clients from the Middle East, and it's not only from Egypt. So we're covering the full Middle East. We do cover a lot of lands in Egypt, and we have clients from Egypt. And let me tell you this. I'm sure that your startup has already started working. there are a lot of projects in Egypt that the government is doing right now to repurpose lands. That's why we're getting all that traction from Egypt. So yes, we cover Egypt. We'll be more than happy to work with you. We'll keep in touch. And Brijesh, do you have any other questions? And we'll jump to it.
Sure. Let me look for more questions. To all the viewers and attendees, please feel free to share more questions. Ask us. We are here to answer, anything related to the partnership program or in general about the satellite-based technologies. We'll be ready to give answers to you. So I'm quickly catching one question from Fernando. Are you working with someone in Mexico? Well, we do have some direct customers from Mexico, but if you are interested in working with us, then we can discuss further about it. We have a special team, sales team or business development team who work with the Latin American market. So we will coordinate perhaps a meeting with you.
Okay, I think we're running out of questions.
I guess so.
But yes, we might have missed some, but we'll go back into the chat and we will definitely send you an email for answering all those questions. So, we still have one more. Brijesh, this one is for you because I do know that you have clients and customers from working with you from India. Would you mind answering it?
Sure. This question is from Shiv Kumar. So at the moment, India, I would consider it as a promising market for us, but we do have one partner there in India, and we would be looking to, cooperate with more partners. So if your company is interested in cooperating with us, partnering with our EOSDA, then we can discuss after this event. We can discuss about the terms and conditions and what incentives and benefits we can offer to you as a partner. So we will contact you after this webinar. This is for Shiv Kumar Subramaniam.
Okay, that's perfect. I guess this would be the closing time. Thank you, everyone. I would like to hear from Luděk if you have any final words you want to leave the audience with.
Joining EOS was some kind of step change in our business activities. We are dreaming how to better organize ourselves in terms of consultancy, in using more than a simple agronomy, and this interdisciplinary approach, which is used by EOS, had a very good fit to our business strategy, and we do believe that this is the great opportunity for the next, especially when I've seen in the previous slide the number of the low altitude satellites EOS is planning. So I see a strong partnership for the years to come with EOS.
Thank you very much, Luděk. We are very happy to have you here. Mike, I would love to hear your final words. Please go ahead.
Just that we're just so happy to be welcomed into the EOSDA family. We really love the fact that working with EOSDA as a two-way partnership, the ability for us to, there was a question there around being able to feed soil analytical data back into the platform as another layer. One of the white labeling solutions gives us a real nice way where we can do some custom development with the EOSDA team to bring some of our land-based sensing data into the EOSDA platform. And so we look forward to doing that in the future.
Thank you, Mike. I actually want to thank you again for joining us at 3 a.m. from New Zealand. We really appreciate it, Mike. Brijesh, do you have anything else you would like to add?
Well, I'm glad that we were able to present this webinar and we were able to collaborate this such a information over this presentation, and also through the wisdom that was shared by our guest speakers. So yeah, I'm very happy, and I look forward to connecting with some of the prospects, like some of I see in the chat section. When I scroll through the chat section, I can see some of the attendees might be interested in partnering with us. So that is our next step. So we will try to answer them, contact them as soon as possible, and provide the necessary information in order to become our partners.
Great, Brijesh. Thank you very much. And I would
Thank you.
provide a special thanks to everyone who attended, and everyone even in the back scene here with us at EOS for arranging this webinar. We will be sending you the recording by email once it's ready. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice morning, evening, or good night, depending where you're seeing us from. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.